friends. We are back. It's your favorite podcast show of the week. This is Location Weekly. It's episode number 719, and we are recording live on July the 1st. Yes, it is for my fellow patriots here in Canada. It is Canada Day. It is a holiday here. That is like the 4th of July in the US. It's our version a few days earlier. So, yes, I'm working on the holiday, but there's fireworks and barbecues and all that later today. So it's all good. How are you, Abriana? Welcome back.
Thank you. It's so good to be back with you. Happy Canada Day and happy second half of the year. Can you believe it? We're like into the third quarter now officially, which is wild
Yeah.
uh, for everybody. Canadians and Americans, all of us.
Yes.
But I'm good. It's been a really busy time. Let's see, updates since I've been on the show. I've been traveling quite a bit for Agnitio and things are going really good. Apparently, agentic AI is kind of a hot thing. And I just got back from Cannes a couple weeks ago, which was amazing. It was my first time. I loved it. Hopefully will not be my last. So it's been a good busy season and start to the summer.
Yeah, I was envious because I've been before a couple times, but not in the last like 6 years or so. So I was kind of watching from afar and seeing all your posts and everything. So it's great. What was like your number one highlight of the festival there?
I won't, I, one is really hard. I do feel like the AI conversation was a hot topic and it was interesting because, sometimes you get stuck in like this ad tech bubble and you're not necessarily talking to the creatives and the agencies as much. And so hearing those perspectives on, the fear of where the industry is moving, is it going to offset jobs or how is it going to offset jobs? And the concerns there was an interesting topic I think to navigate and just hear different opinions on. I also feel like there was a big presence around diversity and just different perspectives, which is interesting in the light that we're in right now, especially in the US, and things have been shifting and changing. But I felt like it was very authentic and real this year. So there was a lot of real, authentic conversations around, media and agencies that are focused on Black and Brown and reaching that audience. And it was just really cool to connect with a lot of those players. And I had like a moment where I realized, oh my gosh, I'm a Latina founder in the AI space, and that's like really cool. So I think those were some of my highs. I also got to speak on stage at Salon Cultures Conversations, and that was really, really great just to connect and have a really authentic candid conversation about what's happening with agentic and how to really embrace that and kind of own your right to play in that space. And so that was some of my highs, I would say.
Awesome, awesome. Well, we're proud of you. We're following all your success as you navigate these waters, and yeah, we're just we're anticipating big things, so it's all good.
I appreciate that.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's jump into our show. Four stories, as usual. We're back to our normal format. So last week, Karsten and I did a show, but without any stories. We just basically spent the show highlighting our upcoming LBMA Momentum Conference, which we're super excited about this November. A multi-day experience, a lot of international participation. Our biggest event yet, and we're for me, I'm most excited. It's the 15-year anniversary of the LBMA. A lot of the OGs of the LBMA community, all of our like old chapter leaders and stuff from around the world are going to be coming in to participate in that. Even people who aren't even in the industry at all anymore or
Yeah.
retired are going to come and be part of this celebration. So we're excited about that. So that's November 10th and 11th here in Toronto, and we hope Aubriana will be there too.
Yeah, I'm gonna do my best. It's going to
So
be a family reunion of sorts.
yeah, all right. Well, kick us off.
Okay, well, actually, this is interesting. Speaking of Cannes, this is something that was announced just a few weeks ago. And they actually kind of talked about the technology at Cannes. And this is that Pinterest is testing this AI curated collages. And they're doing this in partnership with Macy's. And so what they're doing is it's a pilot and it's using AI to automatically generate shoppable collages for users. So this could include items from Macy's. It potentially could include other brands as well. but it's really trying to align Pinterest with their broader push into AI powered discovery and then that shopping and intent. So the collages are personalized based on user behavior, which I would love, and surfacing like relevant products in more of a visual, sort of editorial type of a format. So it's like you have a digital, Vogue in front of you and you can kind of shop it, which I think is really fun. I think it's super beneficial. I think Pinterest continues to really lean hard into the identity as like visual search and inspiration engine. And I think they're finally starting to figure out a few ways to monetize it, this being one with that intent-based commerce. So, we've seen these shifts already with them pushing towards more full funnel marketing. But I think now this is like beyond pinning, it's beyond shopping other people's collages or being able to make your own collages. And it's actually like, how can I shop this look? I think there's a lot of tie in here. You see sort of the collages sometimes that are happening on Amazon for those influencers. And this is kind of in a similar vein, but while you're in that discovery mode. And I find that Pinterest for discovery is a little better than Amazon. And maybe like just your mindset and using that app. So I think this is really interesting. I think if it scales properly, that the AI collages really could significantly increase some conversion rates, and ad performance, obviously, which is great for retailers, great for Pinterest, and then opening up some new ad formats that feel native and they're like that mini catalog feel. So potential for some high margin sponsored placements there.
Yeah, I'm with you. Not a lot to add to this one. I think all of these platforms, be it Pinterest or TikTok or Snap or any of them, I mean, I think the more you can use AI to power, whether it's collages or curated, collections or, trend, boards or things like that that are shoppable, and driving more commerce through the platform, the better, right? And I think that, that like being able to save these collages, and not just kind of, I'll put it this way. So as a, sort of newish homeowner, renovating an old house and kind of building these boards of, what do we want this room to look like and what do we want this to look like and design, elements and all this kind of stuff, kind of, there's that sort of aspect of, kind of manually doing all that work versus, having AI kind of generate that and come up with the ideas. And I've used a number of tools, like with our garden and stuff too, like where I've kind of said, here's a photo of the garden as it is, and then, create different options, visualize different options of, what this could look like, right? And based on location and where the sun is and, all sorts of other factors that, you just can't do on your own,
Yeah.
right? That AI can kind of easily pull together in minutes, and make that happen for you, right? And then it's not just kind of like showing you what could be, it's then like making it shoppable and generating commerce from it. Everybody wins, right? So I think it's incredibly powerful what you can do here. And I don't think that Snap or TikTok or Facebook or any of these guys are going to sit by and not do these kinds of things as well. So I know that there's shoppable AI collages that are probably coming in YouTube and Snapchat very quickly. I could see Etsy getting into this game as well. So yeah, good on Pinterest and good on Macy's for being sort of an early adopter trying this out.
Yeah, it's always so important to have like those brands that are willing to try something new. But this just it's such a no-brainer for me.
There you go. Okay. Moving over to the entertainment space, let's talk about Netflix now. So Netflix, we all watch Netflix. We all have seen the shows, and there's all kinds of fan followings of different ones. For example, Squid Game, just third season just came out, and so like people love these things, right? And there's this like sort of fan base that follows, different shows on there, be it Stranger Things and others. And so they've decided to get into the permanent location-based entertainment venue space. And so later this year, starting in Philadelphia at the King of Prussia Mall and at the Dallas Galleria, they're opening 100,000 square foot immersive attraction spaces. So essentially, these are going to be physical entertainment venues where you can go and experience the shows that you're a fan of in a different way. And so, think, gaming, VR zones, mini golf, themed dining experiences, exclusive merch, and all sorts of different things like that. They're also planning to open a third venue in Las Vegas in 2027. Um, and I think this is a good thing. I've seen pop-ups. We've had pop-ups here in Toronto for Stranger Things. I've seen them in other places. And there's lineups, like down the street when these things happen, right? So creating these sort of permanent venues where people can, experience the brand, experience the show in a different way, I think is a good move by Netflix. And you're seeing these sort of streaming services really engage in different ways. I know, like, for example, Apple TV now, with the new Brad Pitt F1 movie just broke box office records for this weekend, 55 million in the opening weekend, and it's now the highest, grossing, opening weekend for a mainstream film that's made by a streaming service, not like, made by MGM or something. So, they're finding different ways to expand their field and generate revenue from all sorts of different places. So I think this is a great move by Netflix. I think, getting into the theme park or themed entertainment venue space is awesome for them. They have such a fan following some of these shows, and I think you're going to see more of this, and not maybe like from competitors as well.
Yeah. No, I think that Netflix is like taking a page out of the Disney playbook and they're saying, how can we further monetize our IP? And so pulling that digital storytelling piece into physical spaces to create those brand touch points in real life, I think is really interesting. And I also think that, there's like streaming fatigue, and so that external emotional engagement in the physical world really helps to build the loyalty beyond just subscriptions. I think there's additionally from a business opportunity, obviously you've got some licensing opportunities, merchandise opportunities. Netflix could potentially charge rent to brands inside of the venues, or take a cut from some type of on-site commerce that, is working with those brands. And then, maybe like just making it a little bit more sticky for the content. So I think this is, it's a good move, and I'm interested. My in-laws are like close to King of Prussia Mall, so maybe I will, swing by there sometime if there's anything kid appropriate. Maybe not for Squid Games, but
Yeah, and I think also too, like, just to point it out, I mean, from a mall operator point of view, they're obviously all struggling with the demise of department stores, huge spaces, vacant spaces to fill, and filling it with things like this is going to bring people. There's no
millions
question
for
about
them.
that,
Yeah.
right? So I think it's a good fit for, the real estate, side of it as well. I know up here in Toronto, like a lot of the, old department store spaces that have been vacant, we have a company that's been doing pop-ups for like 2, 3 months at a time, just taking over old H&M stores or old, whatever stores and turning them into roller skating rinks. And so they've got all the, they rent out all the, the skates, and they have, all the entertainment, and they have DJs, and they have all the stuff. And there's, again, like, a lot of interest in that.
So cool. All right, let's move on to coffee. And Starbucks is testing a new AI tool for employees. This is kind of cool. Starbucks is piloting this internal tool. I think their nickname inside the company is Barista Bot, by some of the employees, and it's helping the store managers with things like scheduling, inventory, operations, and it's really focused on reducing this managerial workload that many of them have, and improving, they say, labor forecasting. So how many employees do you need at which time, at which locations? So I think that, one, Starbucks is becoming this like test bed for AI, which is cool to see. As you mentioned, like first adopters, early adopters, things that, companies, some are trying out partners, and some are building things internally. And this is really just this quiet revolution for workforce tech in my mind. So it's like AI as a daily assistant for non-technical fields, and like on the, boots on the ground, behind the counter roles. And I think it's really a signal of how AI is going to be embedded in enterprise operations. So not just like customer experiences, which we've thought of for most of the impact so far for AI is like, how can I as an individual do this? And this is more like, how can I become more operationally efficient? And map this out. So I think there's a massive efficiency gain opportunity for like their 30,000 plus global locations. And then if it's successful, Starbucks could also consider, spinning out more internal tools or external tools, like a whole new B2B line of business if they wanted to. So I think this is interesting and applicable not just for Starbucks, but across many companies that struggle with operational efficiency.
Yeah, I think in a company like Starbucks where you constantly have menu changes, featured items, new things, and you have, staff that have to learn, how to make that drink or what have you. And there's typically like in the normal process, manuals or some document that they have to read that, or recipe or what have you. Being able to kind of shorten that up and make it, just present the information I need when I need it quickly,
Mhm.
and getting to that goal of completing orders within 4 minutes, which is their sort of internally stated, goal, right? So I think if you can do that, you can find those efficiencies, especially at peak times when, they're under a lot of stress, in the early morning rush hours or what have you. I think that makes a lot of sense. And, if it then frees them up to kind of be more focused on the customer service aspect of, the business, right? So I think it's a win-win for the consumers if you have less stressed out staff because, they're not having to sift through, lots of information. They're just getting the information they need quick, easy, in a consumable format. Um, and they can do the job, but they can focus on, the customer service aspect. So I think it's a win for both. I think there's efficiencies operationally for the business. And I think, if you have those efficiencies happening, then you actually have, the opportunity to have better customer service as well.
And I would go a step further to say, like, just riffing on what, thinking in real time here, this was not planned. But I think that, like, I was at Target yesterday and I haven't been to Target in a really long time. And it was a disaster. There was only like a couple of, self-checkout lanes open. The lines were massive. It was just very inefficient. And I was shocked. And I'm thinking, like, what are the applications? You've always got like Walmart or Target, these big box retailers with so many different checkout lanes and none of them are open. And think about if you could have in real time, like, the ability to say like, hey, we expect it to surge at this time today. If whoever wants to come in, we've got hours for this, right? And so you kind of have that Upwork auctioning off availability for employees as well. So instead of it being like, oh, employees hours are getting cut, no, you're just able to work the hours that are the most impactful for the business. So I think that, the first step is just like the scheduling portion of it, but then if they can in real time respond to that with like, hey, we're expecting an uptick or a surge in, servicing people and we need more employees on site, that's like a great opportunity for the employees as well.
Yeah, great idea. Awesome, awesome. Okay, let's go into our final story now. So let's talk about Uber, and specifically Uber advertising. So they have a program called Ride Offers, and this is part of a wider suite of advertising products that they call Journey Ads, they've been doing a lot of in the U.S. markets, but they've now made an announcement that they're expanding this into all their international markets, including Canada, the UK, Brazil, Mexico, Australia, and New Zealand. They made this announcement at Cannes. And so what these are shoppable promotions that let advertisers reward Uber riders discounts on future trips. So it's a way, if you're already using Uber, by watching these ads, participating in these shoppable promotions, you're essentially earning, points effectively that you can then turn into, free rides or free or other things, discounts on the platform. Um, just like in the first story where Macy's was the early adopter, Molson Coors, was the guinea pig for this initial test. So they ran a campaign called Win While You Wait. And it showed double digit gains in view time and click-through rates. And the numbers are really good on this type of advertising. So research from the National Research Group found that 65% of rideshare users in key markets say discounts capture their attention. 64% of users say such offers improve brand perception. And the promos drive a 5% higher attention and 10% greater engagement. So really good numbers, like really, really, high engagement numbers here that we're seeing here. So I think consumers are, especially in our current economy, are always looking for, anything that they can get, to give them a leg up. And when you're using a platform like Uber on a regular basis, as folks like you and I are, why wouldn't you, sort of engage with something like this if it's, a free ride, or you can save something here or there. So I see brands jumping on this, QSR brands, CPG brands, travel brands. Will participate in this. I think it's a good move to take this, to all those international markets. You probably have local brands unique to those markets that can benefit from this. Um, yeah, it's not, there's nothing super innovative about it. It's not, a technology revolution, but I think that the timing is good in the current economy, and I think brands will gravitate towards a platform like this that has the user base that they have, both domestically and internationally. Your
Yeah,
thoughts?
I think that well, I think it's interesting. I like the blending of the commerce, the mobility, the advertising all in one, in a way that, not very many companies can actually pull off. And I think it could position them as an ad, a performance platform, if you will, right? So like
Yeah,
watch this and then walk into a store. I would say I'm curious the amount of adoption. I think like watching. Yes, walking into a store when you're getting into an Uber and you have somewhere to go, less likely. I was thinking that there is an ability though to do a partnership, let's say with like an Ibotta or something, where you have something that maybe you can get cash back, or you could get a refund or a discount if you purchase within like 24 hours, or you purchase within a week or something like that.
yeah,
That would be sort of the next iteration of this, where you have, I think, maybe more of an impact, right? Where you're still getting the brand awareness, but then you actually get that closed loop piece, because walking into a store does not necessarily signify purchase. And so there's still that missing, like, last step that brands are really interested in. So I'd love to see them think about how to adopt that. But again, local businesses and big brands like the event marketers are all going to benefit from this, and I think it's good. It's a good foothold for Uber to get into that hyper local outcome based space.
yeah. And I like the idea of tying it to something like an Ibotta, or where there's a cashback, component to it. I think if the wider you make it in terms of, where I can redeem and what I can do with it, the better, right? I think
Yeah.
people, just appreciate that more. So great. Awesome. Well, you've been listening, everybody, to episode number 719 of Location Weekly. We thank you for your time as always. As I mentioned at the top, and we have our biggest conference ever, the LBMA Momentum Conference, this November 10th and 11th in Toronto, international affair. We would love to have you involved in that, either as a sponsor, speaker, attendee. Just go to reach out to Aubriana or I or Karsten, and we would be happy to fill you in on more information about that. But yeah, until then, we just appreciate your time, and we'll be back next week with another show. So have a great one, everybody, and happy Canada Day once again to our Canadian friends.
Thank
Cheers.
you.
Bye.
Bye.